So the new title to the show is going to be the explosive silent man. I'm very controversial with my own family and and people around me, and even when I'm listening to even viewers, right? So a lot of the viewers we've talked in person, you know who you are, and it's explosive, right? It's explosive. I don't let you tell your story, and I apologize right off the bat because I'm probably going to do the same thing all over again. I will not let you tell a story that doesn't serve your higher self. And here's a very important point. I'm just about to embark on something new, and it's called the the superhero and the villain, right? In my own life and no one else's. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down exactly everything that I'm doing now, right? Whether I go to the gym, 5 days a week, 1 day a week, 2 days a week, or not at all. If I eat good or if I don't eat good, if I'm doing everything that I say I'm doing, and then that's going to be the hero part, and the villain in my life is going to be he does everything that he wants. That means he says he's going to go to the gym, 7 days a week, he does it. He says he's going to do this, he's going to do it. Everything. And so I'm always competing against the villain, right? The villain in my own life. Because the villain's going to have the most fun. Remember that, guys. It's going to be the one that's out there just living the life. And the superhero is always the one that's suffering. We're always suffering. We're always saving people. We're always just out there just seeing what we can do for other people. And I've talked about this in other episodes and other conversations where it's like, so how's your cup doing? Is your cup full? Is it overflowing? Because if it's not, I would not put myself in a position where you're giving anything to anyone else at this point. You know. So here's a great story. I've got two viewers. One's in his early 50s, and the other one is in his early 20s. Right, polar opposites, guys. Polar opposites. So we've got the early 50-year-old that woke up one day and he decided he needed to get a job. And don't get me wrong, it's not that he was not working up to this point. It's just that he was working for himself. And now he was positioning himself where he needed some steady income. Times have changed. COVID decimated his industry. And now he's kind of at a crossroads where is he going to go back to work and work for someone else, be told what to do, when to do, how to do, and 240 days a year, or is he going to continue going down the other path and reinvent himself, which we've talked about this. Reinventing yourself is making the best version of yourself. You've already got all the components, you've got everything that you need to be successful, except the fact that maybe you don't have that one quality that we've all got in us and you're not exercising, which is, do you have the self confidence to continue doing what you're doing? And to, like I said, once again, reinvent yourself to be the better version. So, speaking of that, and then speaking of the polar opposite of the, early 20-year-old, early 20s, um, so this guy is already doing the W-2, working for someone else, and now he's basically said that's enough. I'm not I'm not growing, I'm not living, I'm not doing anything, and I'm killing myself by trying to be self-employed and also working for a company. And so he gave us 2 week notice. And now he's, I was talking to him and I told him, so basically you burned the bridge, you burned the boats, and you can't go back. He says, yeah, that's right. I already gave the 2 week notice. And so we kind of did some work really quickly, spent about an hour with him. And we just basically spoke about like, okay, so what are your goals? What do you want to do? I gave him a couple tools. One of them's called the SMART system, which is for coming up with goals and how to do it accordingly and correctly. And the other tools that I was giving them was self confidence, having the ability to do things the correct way, getting licensed correctly, getting his insurance. And he said something really great that one of the episodes that we had made him really think about accountability and responsibility. And he shared a story where he was doing a job for someone, and he saw the writing on the wall that they were going to have issues after the job was done. They were going to get called out for the um, the quality of the work, and so he came up with this idea to write up a letter and then get it notarized by the person that was hiring him to take full responsibility in the event that the quality wasn't to the client's liking. And so it was great that he did that. The guy wouldn't sign it, didn't really go anywhere because the guy didn't want to sign it and notarize it, which meant that he didn't want to take accountability and responsibility. So we got into that, and that's really where the conversation went was, okay, whatever job you're going to do, whatever work you're going to do, if you're going to do it for yourself or if you're going to do it for someone else or whatever however you want to go ahead and proceed, just know that accountability and responsibility, not of anyone else, but oneself, is going to be where you're going to start. You've got to make yourself bulletproof. And the only way you can do that is by, once again, taking full inventory of yourself and, and just like I said, and just make a better version of yourself. We're working on this daily, guys, every single day. We're working on this, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. And in order to grow, we need to thrive. In order to thrive, we need to work. In order to work, we need to go ahead and be diligent. We need to be consistent. All these words all come together to create powerful results in your life. But if we're not doing this every single day and practicing it, and look, I'll be the first one to tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. There's days where, yeah, I don't want to do any of this. I've talked to a lot of the listeners and I say, if I'm not wanting to quit every single day, it's like, then I'm not doing something right. Because if I was doing everything wrong and it was still working, then I wouldn't really, take anything into consideration. But when you're doing things right and there's a cost to it, right? Time, it could be a monetary, it could be anything. There's a cost to it, and maybe the results aren't coming as quickly as you want. That's where you get into the position where you want to quit, right? And you say, you know what, maybe this is not working. But remember, anything in this life that you want is gonna require like your attention to detail, your consistency, your responsibility, your accountability, and really take that into consideration when you're doing anything. And always go back to the basics. It was one of the other things that I told the young listener. I said, go back to the basics. What was working? What's not working? And then kind of just really weed out the stuff that's not working anymore. And then, just like I said, be responsible for yourself. And the better version that you want, write it down. Write down exactly what that person looks like. Like I said earlier about, the villain and the superhero, write down exactly what that looks like. And that's just an example of how to, take things where it's like almost like your alter ego, right? How I want my alter ego to look like. I want it to be like basically where everything that I don't want to do, everything that I fight on what the right things to do, that I just do. And I don't ask questions. I don't make excuses. I just do it. And that's the villain, right? The villain's always going to have the best time. So, just to recap, we've got two polar opposite age groups where they're having almost the same issues, same problems. And it's like, and I worked with both of them, and we came with a resolution of, they were going to start working on their goals and really, you know, it's like chiseling out exactly what it's supposed to look like. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the one listener in his early 50s isn't going to go and take the job and he's going to be happy and he's going to go on with life and nothing's going to be wrong. But what if? What if he actually, decided to take himself on and recreate himself, reinvent himself, make a better version of himself now, and all of a sudden his business, it's like it just explodes and it goes to the moon and back, and all of a sudden he's having the best time of his life. And same thing with the young, 20 something year old listener. It's the same thing with him. You know, does he have more to learn? Not necessarily. I told him age has nothing to do with things. It's all about how you listen and how you execute and how you want to go ahead and pour into yourself. And we talked about that cup. If the cup isn't full and the cup isn't overflowing, then you have nothing to give to anyone else. And so you've got to go ahead and fill yourself up and not deplete yourself where all you're doing is just giving to all the people around you. So it's just really important that we understand that the power that we have is within us, and it all has to do with what we're willing to pour into ourselves. So I just wanted to go ahead and thank those two listeners. You know who you are, and like I said, explosive. The explosive silent man was kind of a kind of a joke, but at the same time, it's real. I'm very explosive. Anyone in my family will tell you I'm super explosive. Like I'll just, you know, but I always tell them it's not that I'm mad. It's not that I'm angry or upset. It's that I have such great passion for, knowing that there's better out there. There's other things out there, for us, that it's just not one. There's not just one answer for each and every one of us. There's so many ways that we can go about things, but ultimately it comes down to, like, do we believe in ourselves? To kind of finish up the conversation we were having right now. you know there was a reference made where some of the listeners were giving their opinions in regards to how the show should be put together, what we should add. It went beyond the commentator section, right? And it went more deeper into, like, oh, if it was my show, this is the way I would do it. And this one friend of mine, I've just known her forever. I kind of just gave her the information. I said, kind of makes me upset that people just don't, like, take things at face value. Like, I'm not perfect. This show's not perfect, but I'll tell you one thing. I mean, I'm doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because I love to. Like, there's nobody that's giving me anything to do this show. It's actually quite the opposite. I'm giving and giving and giving. And she says something so powerful. She says, you know, you're doing it. Like, you didn't get anybody's permission. You didn't, go out there and test the market or anything. She says, one day you just did it, and now you're doing it. And she says, man, I wish I had that same passion to do things. And she's kind of in the same boat where, things are changing around her, and she needs to reinvent herself. And I think we're all in that same boat where we're all like, we all want different because times are changing. But what are we willing to do for that? I'll tell you right off the bat. I mean, the thing that works for me is I just do it. The repercussions, or what may happen or what may not happen or anything, that doesn't matter when I'm doing things. I just do them because I really truly believe there's a purpose to it. So just wanted to thank everyone for listening to the silent explosive man. And once again, joking but real. It's an explosive conversation that we will continue to have about the better version of ourselves. And as many times as that you may not feel like doing things, just do them anyways.